Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2018 on Give Me God of War difficulty. This is my guide and walkthrough. We're currently on part 6. So this game had to do it, guys. It just had to do it. Update 1.23 just landed, which is the 15th update. Now, if you're confused about the numbering there, I noticed that on the update history, it skips from 1.04 to 1.10, and there are other small changes too. So I am playing the 14th iteration of the game. Later on, when I come back to play this game later, I will have installed the update, so that will be the 15th update. So as long as it's getting the attention that it needs in the right places, I'm all for it. Now, a lot of people are asking me, are you covering God of War 4? What are your opinions on God of War 4? Well, technically, this game isn't God of War 4. Now, it is canon. It follows the events of God of War 3. But this game is called the same thing that the first game was called. You remember a game called God of War? I don't remember the date that it came out. It was either 06 or 07, somewhere around there. So they chose to not call this God of War 4 for reasons that I understand. You know, you want to be as inclusive as you can with folks and you know, get folks to come on into the franchise who haven't been into the franchise before. I completely understand it, but I don't consider this and not because you can't jump. And you can't jump. Now, there are places where you can jump, but you jump at the game's discretion. You jump when the game allows you to jump. In the other games, you can jump whenever you like. Can't jump. Can't fucking jump. Man, I gotta dig that knife in as deep as I can every time, guys. When this game turns around, I gotta plunge that knife and just twist because you can't jump. Yeah, but I don't consider this game God of War 4. It's not called God of War 4. You know, you didn't have guts to call it God of War 4, so I'm not calling it God of War 4. The move that I'm doing over here, I've upgraded it all the way. It looks like a sort of a spin that he does. Now, I didn't care much for this move until I learned that the upgrade includes you holding down the square button to deal more damage, to deal more radial damage, and to lock more guys into the attack. So actually, I don't like the base move that this is, but I can't deny that it's quite good. Like me, it's quite good. So coming down over here now, we've got some more of these Dark Elves. I think I actually did put one of the Elfenheim pieces of armor in my slots, only because there was nothing else to put on anything. So and I can't warn you guys enough from not purchasing the Leap of the Leviathan, or Leviathan's Leap. I'm not sure what it's called. The one where when you're sprinting, you press triangle near an enemy and he does a jumping chop. You don't want that. I mean, if you do, it's all good for you, but it also might be called Fury of Leviathan. I will double check and get back to you later, but if you're a person who likes to sprint up to an enemy and then charge the Executioner's Cleave, the Fury of Leviathan is going to get in your way and it's going to cause you problems. Just like Athena's Wrath caused many folks problems, including myself, way back in the day. Hell, it's always causing me problems. I was just doing a challenge called Switchblade the other day, and it was causing me problems. I was doing Hades Kids too, you know? I was trying to just Papa John my way through the challenges, and it was interfering. Do you want to know something just incredible? You can get do you know how you can activate the talismans? There's a certain talisman activation numbering where you get all the talismans and it gives you X number of experience. Well, you can get the any amount of the experience for the talismans, and all I'm talking about is pressing L1 plus circle. Say for instance you come to an area and you only have, say for instance you have 25 out of the 26 that are needed to get you the 750 experience boost. What you can do is you can activate it, get your 750, reset the checkpoint, and activate it again, get your 750 again, and on and on and on and on, because the game, it doesn't prohibit you from getting that 750 every time. So what you can do in the best case scenario is get one shy away of like however it is, like 90, 95, or 100. So get to a situation where you have 99 out of 100 talisman activations. Go to any battle, activate it once, it will give you 3,500. And as long as you don't win the battle and instead just reload the checkpoint, you can keep reloading and reloading and reloading and activating the talisman and continually getting 3,500 experience. Like, I'm surprised they haven't patched things like that out, because I've noticed those and I've been doing it, you know, because why the hell not? It seems like it's part of the game. It's your guys' job to fix the bugs. If indeed that's a bug, maybe it's not a bug. Maybe they want people to do that. But I'm not going out of my way to do it. I'm not, sacrificing a lot of extra game time. I'm doing it whenever I can. If I have a moment's free time, I'll do it a few times to get all my experience. Over here, you get a checkpoint, and we're dealing with these poison nightmares over here. Now, if you aim and hold the square button, you can target 3 enemies at once, which is going to be quite helpful to you. We're accumulating good frost damage over here by not getting hit. The poisonous nightmares are a real problem because there's a ton of them, and as long as you're really quick to knock them down, and I mean quick by just aim and press square. You don't even have to hold square. Just press square. It's not even a case of you necessarily needing to be very accurate, but you will have to take these nightmares down. There's plenty of room to move. Ah, you bastards, they blinded me. So what these guys do is that they do a flash and it blinds you. And it's kind of long too, because the blind is an elemental. It's classified as an elemental attack put onto your character. So elemental attacks are even longer to get out of on this highest of difficulties. And once you've got all the nightmares gone, then you can focus on these guys. But these guys are undoubtedly going to be leveled up. So remember that none of their attacks can be blocked or parried. And I think we're going to be coming up on another health upgrade pretty soon too. But I really am having fun playing this. I am. I always knew that Santa Monica would do right by the fans, and they do. It's just quite different, but different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Although I always think that it means bad. I'm always fearful that bad things are gonna happen. I'm a prisoner of anxiety. I've got just this crippling anxiety disorder that it just really reduces me to tears sometimes, and because it's so difficult to live in fear. So you've got to intellectualize over that horror if you can, because your mind knows that it's smarter, and yet we're people that feel a lot, with our emotions. So. Anyhow, what you want to do now is march your way up here, and there should be something to read up there. Another a pickup over here, hack silver. How much hack silver are we getting? 323. And now we're going to be getting a coffin. However, to get this coffin, we're going to have to get over here and then throw the blade thitherward over there. looks like we needed to do it a little bit higher. There we go. Did we get it? Good. Good shit. Good deal. Good meal deal. You guys got yourself into a meal deal? You might wonder, well, why don't you curse a little bit less, Bick? You know, it's impolite. You'll make more money on YouTube. Ooh, I'm going to make more money on YouTube. How much more money, guys? 16 more cents if I don't curse, so might as well just curse, you know. All right, there we go. Do your jump. You couldn't control that jump, though. The game wanted you to jump, and it gave you the opportunity to jump, and you had no involvement with the jump. It's sort of like the auto jump in Zelda, which is, I think, where all this nonsense started, taking away people's ability to jump, you know? Doesn't that bother you? I want to fucking jump when I play this game. I don't care. You know, I don't care what kind of... You can jump in Dark Souls. You know, it's not really the kind of thing that I'm thinking about, but you still can. Anyway, more fun fights over here by this sort of... looks like a face etched in a boulder over here. And we're going to continue to make our way over here and do our engagements, you know? Do some dick swinging and some meal dealing. Alright, this fight over here is difficult because of the introduction of a new and annoying enemy, and one that's a little unfair in my opinion. You see the enemy that I just parried? This is the Dark Elf Summoner, so he needs to be prioritized above all else, because when you see him in the air spinning his weapon, he is in the process of summoning, so if he slams his weapon to the ground, then you will see reinforcements come in like they just did right there. Now, there is an instance, I think in a subsequent fight, where I was able to push him off just as he was about to slam his weapon into the ground because he was frozen, so that was the only thing that saved me there. But the only reason I say this enemy is a little unfair is that I really don't think that it should be able to level up. You know, it's enough that it has a lot of health to begin with, and you know, has the ability to make a fight elongate. But it's just it's something that if I had my way with it, I would not let him be able to level up. You know, it's bad enough that he summons, and this game is not estranged from the summoning concept. Remember in God of War 2 you had the summoner? Well, he had a hell of a lot of life too. You know those guys from the Protect the Translators section? You know, he was a bastard to put down as well. So, you know, and what was even worse about that is he fucking stole your magic too, to add insult to injury. But anyway, when you come over here, they're going to checkpoint it for you, and you're going to be dealing with some of these poisonous exploding nightmares. Sometimes it is a genuine nightmare to get away from their explosion. I mean, you can do the best you possibly can, but I mean, otherwise, good luck. When you come up here, though, there's going to be one nightmare like right around there, so you want to tag him. And what we're doing is, if you look at the weapon on the bottom left, you're going to see that it has a slow pulsing turquoise color to it. Is it turquoise, or I don't think it has any green to it. It might, but you'll see it. It looks sort of icy. And what's happening there is I'm doing that move where once you hit an enemy and it makes contact with the enemy, I press R1 and my weapon gets recalled back to me with a frost buff, so that when I subsequently throw it or subsequently attack an enemy with it, I deal frost damage. And frost damage is king on this game, except in one area that I'm not going to mention because of spoiler territory. I want to stay out of that realm if I can. But when you come over here, see, the thing that you'll probably find out for yourself when you're playing this is that strength is always going to disappoint you. You know the stats. Personally, I've gone through the game a couple of times, and I've always sought out ways to get the strength more than I want it to be, because it always disappoints me. But the recompense for that is that there's a second best, and that's called the runic. The runic is the runic attacks. They could be much more effective than strength, and they kind of are strength in a way because they're strong moves that decimate people. Right there, I trimmed out a lot of dialogue. This puzzle over here was really aggravating me, and I still don't really know exactly what is going on with this. Obviously, you want to throw the blade into 2 to 3 of these and make contact with 2 to 3 of the membranes, and you have to do it just so, or it just doesn't work. So if you don't see these pieces of the environment disappear and give you your entrance, just keep throwing the blade. It's probably just being a little picky about where it wants you to throw it because of the membranes being at different heights. So, trash, utter trash, that stupid puzzle. Waste of time. We're also coming upon an awkward section over here. Now, you can, if you're having problems on this and you don't care for it, you can break it by just running through everybody. Now, they've got such a great quantity of these enemies thrown at you that like cutting through them is very difficult. So you're going to probably have to activate the rage to get through them. But, you know, rage isn't going to last you the whole stretch of where you need to go, you know, with just amount we have. So I would say that you want to use runic and the rage to push your way through all the way. And even if you don't, and even if you, because I don't use the rage, these enemies have decreased amounts of health, so they give you a break. You know, the game gives you a break. It's a rare occurrence, but it happens sometimes. And it gives you a break on the amount of damage it requires for an enemy to get killed, and it also you're dealt less damage here. I don't know why, but I guess it's trying to offer a bit of fairness to the player. Because you'd be shocked. You'd think you were playing on easy difficulty with the amount of damage you deal to people. And it's another horrible checkpoint too. You know, it's just, I got so irritated with having to tap the circle button that when I interact with this up here, it's gonna say hold, not tap, because I got tired of tapping it because I did this part a couple times, and why would you put the checkpoint there? I just and there must be some sort of technological thing behind the scenes that the checkpoint has to be there for it to run properly. I understand, but before you make it, can't you accommodate for a nice checkpoint? I mean, they could. They just, I don't know. They just seem unfit to be able to do stuff like that. Every developer. These guys have a really fast jab, these guys over here. But everything that these guys do, though, you can parry, except the projectiles, of course. And see the damage we're getting dealt? I felt really bad about getting damaged, but there's also many times when these guys don't even damage you and they've struck you. So, why is that? I guess it's been altered, to be fair. Because it's really, I said it was awkward earlier in describing it. It's awkward because you've got many enemies, and you can hardly tell, who is hitting. Generally speaking, they don't have more than like 2 enemies hit more than once, but that's bad enough because the restraints on your visibility here cause this all together to be kind of hard. I mean, it looks like you're completely overwhelmed and it's very difficult, but I mean, just to beat it, it's not difficult. I mean, if these enemies had the amount of health they normally have, then it would be difficult. I mean, okay, so we're almost there as well. So parrying and doing the projectiles is great. Parrying and doing that triangle riposte is great. The runic attacks can you can just utterly decimate here when they're used properly. You know, try not to just go after one. You know, when you play this game, you know when the best time is to do the runic attacks. When you got everybody in a nice little group and you can get the best out of them. And there it is, right there. That's the end of the section. Okay. So I think I'm going to go into the accessibility settings and change hold to tap, because I've always felt that tapping feels just a little bit more visceral. Makes you feel like you're playing the game a little bit more. Kind of I don't know, but holding the button kind of exposes a fourth wall in my mind about a video game in some weird way. But anyway, we're going to be placing crystals into slots up here, and see that chest up there? That is the third fragment of the Elfenheim armor, if that's how to pronounce it. So the way they say stacks up to 36%, well, that means that if you have 3 of these slotted into your armor, you can stack it up to that high. However, I don't think that I have 3 slots right now. So, and anyway, I wouldn't recommend doing it. I always go for damage. I want to damage people a lot rather than. I don't mind taking a little bit more. It's not going to matter in the long run too, especially on high difficulties. A little here and there of less damage, that it's just inconsequential. So it's a waste of a utilization of a space. But, you know, if it makes you more comfortable and you want it, go for it. You know, this is your campaign, it's not mine. Okay, like I said, it's your campaign to do with as you will. I wanted to bring one thing up. One of the things I've not addressed is the fact that if you happen to observe that I'm missing out on items, if I have skipped any missions like side areas, or if there is anything that you might have in your inventory whereas you see that I don't have it, this is simply due to the fact that I'm not going out of my way to get everything, and indeed no one can get everything. You know, on a first official playthrough, I've only gone through this game a couple of times, so I don't have everything dedicated to memory. And this is, you know, an RPG-driven game where a lot of the times you're, you know, if you go out of your way, you can find a lot of good stuff. There's a good possibility that you can dig up a lot of good shit for yourself in. So I'm fully aware of that. But I'm basically trying to go in a straight line, and if I miss things, there's always the potential to come and get them later on in the campaign. And I never want to base whether I can do something or not on something that you know, not everybody might have access to. So anyway, looks like we've got an enemy summoner down here. So if we can put him out of the way, get him contained, then we can press forward. So we are going to conclude this video with a boss fight. Not sure what the guy's name is. I did just do this guy no damage, and I've got to tell you, it's always frustrating to try to do things no damage, simply because of the possibility that you can make a mistake. And what exactly do we have over here now? It looks like we've got a couple of enemies over here, one of whom is a spawner. So, you know, prioritize these guys as best as you possibly can, according to the hierarchy of the enemy threat potential. You know, the summoner, I'm getting damaged a lot on here. Oh, also the thing about doing the boss no damage is that you know, the L1 plus square attack that I have, the charge of the white bear. it gives you complete protection. You have iframes when you use it. Not so with I've got two heavy runics, and neither of them give you protection. So you can hit through enemies' attacks, but you're gonna see that your character has taken damage in the process. So there are ways around that, and I can discuss them later. But when you come over here, there's just gonna be a couple more of these guys. This chest over here, I'm not sure what it contains. It could be this move actually has a lot of frost damage. These dark elves are quite weak to frost. See that move right there? Very, very dangerous to do that move sometimes and get away scot-free without taking any damage. What does this chest have over here? Because I think that rage talisman is what we were looking for at some point. Is this it? No, it's another wide. Sorry, and it's another light runic attack. Okay. Now we're going to be carrying this crystal up here. I give Kratos a lot of credit for dealing with this fucking kid. Because as you're doing your campaign, the kid, being his annoying self, gets under Kratos' nerves a time or two. And like I've said before, it's a miracle that this kid doesn't get his ass whooped. Okay, now this must be the no, I can't remember. I think this is see how I'm getting these? These are the bells, so you have to do this rather quickly. I think this might be rage. Rage upgrade? Is it an apple or is it rage? It's the horn mead. So we've got 1 of 3 for that. All right, so once you're down here again, you want to lug the crystal over here, and then we're going to have to fire this up using the kid's arrows. Okay, that's going to give him a bridge. However, he needs a boost up, so put him up there, and then he's going to go over to the sand bowl and do some reading. Spent a couple of hours on the boss, and I found that he's a very fair boss. And some people were asking me, when they listen to me talk about this game, they can't really tell if I like the game or not. The answer is, in as gentle a way as I can say it, no, I really don't like this game, but that doesn't mean at all that it's not fun and that it's not well made. Bless you, Felipe. Was that a sneeze or just a cough? You okay, bro? Wow, he needs something. Got to get Felipe under control, guys. One moment here. All right, before we get to the boss, we've got a couple of encounters to do. The boss himself, I was able to do no damage. And it did. I think I mentioned that before, and it's going to take place somewhere out over here. Now, I hope I don't have to go into these fights too much because they're pretty standard. And I just wanted to talk a few moments about the boss himself, because the boss is actually quite easy. And if you remember, I think it was in the first or second video, I mentioned that Atreus' arrows can do more damage than Kratos' riposte at times. And what's coming up on this next fight is the example of what I said right there. The ripostes are basically going to do little bits of chip damage. And if they don't take away as much as Atreus' arrows, they take away about the same. and that's kind of rare for Atreus' arrows. Just a single arrow to damage this boss too much. So, and I find myself too personally. Sometimes I just plain forget to use Atreus. Sorry about that. But the thing about this boss is that when you parry his attack and follow it up with a riposte, you want to make sure that you're doing the triangle riposte, because while you can escape damage if you roll away quickly after pressing the square to do the square riposte, since you have iframes on the riposte, much more iframes on the triangle riposte, because it's a longer animation, you want to stick to the triangle riposte on this boss. And it's going to afford you the iframes that you'll need to not take damage from his little energy ball that he shits onto the ground, because that's what he does. You parry his attack, you riposte, and when you see me riposte on this boss, you're going to see me riposte through an energy ball. And the only way I'm not going to be taking damage is because of the iframes of the riposte. And we're going to be dealing him a little bit of damage on the ripostes. And it's what this boss does. If you stick close to him and do any sort of melee attacks, he will set down a bomb and just dodge away. So that's why I say he shits out a bomb and then he dodges away. So you always want to be very skeptical of his jumping around and moving away from you, because in most cases, perhaps almost all the cases, what he's going to do is going to shit out this energy ball, and it's going to leave you vulnerable. So you want to take really good care of when you're just doing combos around this boss. And also, when you're iframing through his energy ball with the triangle riposte, don't worry, because you're not going to receive damage. That's what the iframes are for. And I've got to tell you that Corey Barlog, when he says that they're going to do right by the fans, I was doubtful, because it's just such a different type of game. But the level of tightness that is needed for something like this to work, to not take any damage on a boss like this. I'm not setting aside anything about my skill level, which is not as high as I would like it at this point, but I'm getting there. For a boss like this to work, everything has to function with a lot of tightness, and it has to have even more tightness. It's got to be beyond tight. It's got to be tight, you know. So, how are we going to deal with this boss? So, what amulet am I going to have on? I'm not going to even avail myself of any amulet, quite honestly, because I've got my rage filled out. And what we're going to do is, right when this boss starts, I'm going to use the rage to throw rocks at him. And one of the things about this boss, I love this boss, by the way. It's a great environment. There aren't any lackeys. There's no nonsense. It's just your skill on test here. So when he grabs you, just tap the circle button to get off of him, and you'll see what he does. You want to parry his attacks and see what he does. He jumps away and leaves a little energy ball in his wake. So his attacks are very easy to parry. At the end of the fight, he's going to have a different sort of moveset, which I'll discuss. But at first, what we're going to be doing is you want to be always using Atreus in the background to damage him with the arrows. When he rushes like this with this weapon, it's going to be on fire somewhat, if you want to say that. He's going to do it twice, so you want to just dodge away. And what I was trying to do here, also he does this spinning attack where he jumps up, spins around, and then lands his weapon on the ground. Like half his body's off the top of the screen, but you can still parry his attack. There's a little bit of a delay when you parry. But here we're doing some really good damage, and this took me 3 hours to do it no damage, and I kept trying to find a good opportunity of doing the Executioner's Cleave, and then I finally figured out a really good spot where he's vulnerable long enough for the cleave to be able to work, because you all know about the cleave. It has a long startup time. So what this boss does is that he jumps up and fires projectiles. In the first phase, like before he gets to a certain damage level where he's almost about to be dead, he'll jump up and shoot 2 sets of these, but it really is no different when he's shooting 1 set. After he shoots a set, you want to be right under him as he drops. So he's going to jump up, he's going to fire the projectiles, you want to sprint towards him, be right under him as he drops, and you'll have a good amount of time to land your Executioner's Cleave. Now, when he gets a little bit low in life, though, he's going to have one new attack that it's kind of hard to dodge, and he's also going to throw out 2 sets of those projectiles. But other than that, I find that move kind of hard to dodge. So you've also got to be really careful of that heavy attack, because you don't have iframes with it the way you do with the L1 plus square if you're using the Rage of the White Boar. But that attack right there, if you're having problems dodging that, what you can do is you can wait for it to happen, and then you can use the L1 plus square with the Charge of the White Bear. But you're only going to have one time of doing that, so you're going to want to at least try to learn the timing of that attack, because it's that right there. It's like this. I think of it as like a broomstick attack, like a little Wicked Witch of the East broomstick attack. But it's the perfect opportunity to take care of that guy when he shoots out his projectiles. I don't even know what the hell this boss was. Swarvo LaFuck? I don't even know, man. Take care.